So welcome on board on this first video that I made for you for this morning. And this is my pleasure to share a little bit just to provide an overview what our course related to the first part, that's the philosophy. Um, so before we go further, let's let's bring forward this issue. What is philosophy? So quite literally, the term philosophy means love of wisdom. In a broad sense, philosophy is an activity people undertake when they seek to understand fundamental truths about themselves, the world in which they live, and their relationships to the world and to each other. So the focus of philosophy, and it's also related to the philosophy of education, is we are going to understand fundamental truths about what education is all about and how we deal with that and what will be the functions of education and what roles do we play with that one. As an academic discipline, philosophy is pretty much the same. Those who study philosophy are perpetually engaged in asking, answering, and arguing for the answers to life's most basic questions. And one of the issues in philosophy is questioning, because in order to better understand and to acquire the wisdom, we need to ask more questions, and try to answer the questions. So this is the basic understanding of what philosophy is all about. And at this moment, I'm going to introduce the founding father of Sanatana Dharma back to 1955. His name was Nicolas Triarkara. And he was known for his philosophical ideas on education in Pancasila. And at the moment, we are going to get exposed to the ideas of education that he proposed. So before I go further, let's review who Nicolas Triarkara is. He was born in 1913, long before our country got independence. And one of the basic ideas that he proposed is Homo homini socius, or humans are friends to their colleagues. And this is instead to critique or correct the common terms Homo homini lupus, humans that will serve as wolf for other colleagues. So instead of eating to each other, hating each other, and competing to each other, the basic concept of Homo homini socius is, now let's be friends to each other. Let's help each other. Let's thrive by helping each other. And he was not known, in fact, before 1951, because he wrote simple texts using Javanese. And also, he was far away from being philosophical at the time. But since 1951, when Basis magazine was founded, he came to the society, to the public, bringing something that is very philosophical. And in 1955, he was appointed to be the rector of Sanatana Dharma. And it was through his writings related to education, related to the identity of our country, Pancasila, and that he was known to be able to offer something right and something relevant to that age. And I have a resource here that you can get from the link that you can also get from the LMS. Membaca pemikiran Triarkara tentang pendidikan di zaman sekarang, it was written by Bapak Supratiknya, a senior lecturer and professor of psychology of Sanata Dharma. And to begin with, Ram Triarkara proposes the concept of education as a theoretical pedagogy with three basic characteristics. The first one is being critical, the second one is methodical, and the third one is thematic. So what is meant by critical? So in viewing education, we need to find reasons and evidence to support our claims. So it is not enough for us to just to hear one source of information. We need to hear different sources of information. So it's a matter of conducting or gathering triangulations of data sources analysis. In addition to being critical, we also need to be methodical, which means in order to create knowledge, we use certain methods that are substantiated by well-organized procedures. You can tell and describe how you gather the data, how you analyze the data, and how you come into the formulation of ideas, so that we will allow to create logical arguments, and people will believe us because what we do is methodical. And the third component is systematic. We need to be sure that everything must be comprehensive, all-encompassing, and as well as unifying. The source is the compilation of Ram Triarkara's book. So here are the 10 ideas of Triarkara's on education. I will certainly read through and without necessarily tell you the detail of this, because the text is available for you to read and to ponder. The first is teaching as a fundamental act. So what is meant by a fundamental act? It has two meanings. In Triarkara's perspective, a fundamental act refers to first when things are formative by nature. So education is formative. It's to form people. And it is also considered to be a fundamental act because it is an act of love. So basically, the idea of learning and the idea of bringing that forward is this. And the second one is the context to humanize young people. And you go ahead with the discussion about hominisasi and humanisasi. The third component is the context for education. It should be in the form of father, mother, sons, or daughter unity. So that's the context. The true context of education is at home. Education is in the family. So the family is the foundation of education. That's in his opinion. And the characteristic of education is by nature not individualistic nor state-driven, but it is intended for personalization. And Triarkara also raises the importance of role of parents and state. And the sixth one is the nature of knowledge. What is taught in the school is not merely something what is commonly used or commonly available, but it is intended for the development of society. In his own term, it's inculturation progressive. And the seventh part is the pursuit of universal humanistic values. It is not sectarianism. It is not driven by certain religious teachings, but it's so universal. It's all about love, about tolerance. It's all about appreciating others. And the eighth, the outcomes should be strong and courageous graduates. The ninth will be the skills that we need to train on the part of the students is that they will navigate their daily issues more productively. And the last one is education is also intended to help out through identity development on human beings. So, for example, I'm from the rural area of Yogyakarta, and I'm okay with that, and I'm happy with my reality. So this is the final part of our discussion that, like what Pak Pratiknya has presented, that Triarkara's views basically drawn from idealist liberal thinking, and they are too simplistic to guide highly complex educational enterprises today. And especially from sociological perspectives, education is highly contested, and it's not merely a family business. So the basic concept of the education must follow the unity of father, mother, son, and daughter might not necessarily be appropriate today because there are broken families, broken home children, and so on and so forth. So we need to reinvent and reevaluate the claim from the philosophical perspective. And this is the message from the sociological perspective, that schooling is a political arena where students, parents, schools, society members, parliamentary and the government, as well as markets, fight for influence. So this is the end of my presentation, and thanks a lot.